Hey everybody, welcome to the Team Duck Arma Manager demo. This is a project we started about 2 years ago just as a internal item that we decided that we needed something to make it easier to manage our Arma server between multiple players. So what we came up with is a basic set of web services that can control a server portion, and it allows it to start and stop servers, things like that. And as time's gone on, you'll see that it's definitely gotten more than just a start and stop server thing. There's a lot of features we've added to it. We're starting up the wiki this week, and we'll have some more information hopefully in the near future here. It's pretty simple. You've got a basic security system. It allows you to set up different permissions levels on each one of the users. So you can pick a user, set up their administrative levels. You can see what they're allowed to do down here, whether they can only view or they can actually start and stop the server lists. And each one of these corresponds to the function up at the top. So you can see what they're allowed to do. It's a pretty simple setup. You can change when they're allowed to access, when they're not allowed to access. There's also different options as far as removing users, deleting them, resetting passwords, etc. So the basic server functions are you can start and stop a server, and it allows pretty much anyone to do this up to a helper. This way, if your server does go down and people are shut off from it, you can go ahead and restart it. It is actually monitoring a executable, so it's only looking for the executable portion of this, and it's querying the server portion to see whether that executable is running. So if you've got multiple servers running at the time, all you have to do is change the executable name on the server side, but that's a little more information that we'll get into later. As you just saw, there's a little bit of a bug. If it misses one of the things, it'll assume that it's not running, but again, it only happens for a couple of seconds. So you can also upload missions. You can tell it that you want to run specific missions, and you can actually remove missions. There's a limitation right now because this is looking at the live mission directory. If you try to remove a mission file, it's going to tell you that it can't because the server is currently running, and that's just true for any one of the missions. That's while the server is going. You'll have to stop the server, go to the missions, remove that mission that you want to remove, and then go ahead and restart your server again. The config file is also editable. This is one of the features that we've been really expanding on in the last couple of years. It allows you to set up a config file in the background using a config template. So if you've got some of the settings that are not in here already, those are allowed to be put into the template static, and then you just put in little holders, and the holder gets replaced by what information is placed in here. So you've got the server name, a server password, an admin password, how many players you want, whether the server is persistent, any mods you want to run. So if you wanted to run ace mod, you just go ahead and add your ace mod line in there. What port you're going to be running it on, and then of course this is your mission list. If you want to run any missions in the list, you can go ahead and add them in here. If you've got parameters, you can go ahead and add them in this block as well. And adding a mission, you can just simply grab a mission out of the list and then go ahead and tell it to add the mission. It'll put it in the rotation. And the same thing goes for removing it. Just go ahead and hit delete and remove the mission. And you also set up your message of the day, so you can set up what you want it to say when you go ahead and save it. Now what this does is, because the current server is actually in use right now, it's not going to allow you to modify that config file. So instead what it will do is it will save it into a XML file on the back end. So now that this has been saved, when I go ahead and do the server stop and start, it's going to go ahead and pull the config information from here and then create a new config file right before it fires it off. So this allows you to set up all your information in the server portion in your config file without actually having to restart the server until the very last second. Then once you restart it, then it grabs all this information and applies it just prior to starting the server up. So it's a little kind of a sneaky way to do this. One of our plans features later on is actually be able to store configs, so that way you can have your ace config, real type configs, things like different settings for different kind of games. That way you don't have to constantly go back through and reset all these settings up. So anyway, it's pretty simple. It's going to go ahead and save it in the background. With your ban list, you can actually ban a user directly in here. It's going to just go ahead and add it to the ban.txt inside the directory. If you want to see who's been banned, you can go ahead and look through the list. If you want to remove somebody, you can go ahead and unban that user directly on the list. And it's all real time. It's done as the server is running. We've also added this recently. It's a log file. It allows you to look into the server's logs by creating a copy of the logs while they're currently in use and grabbing the last couple thousand characters. So it's just gives you an idea what's going on in your server right now. Like right now you see there's some Arma BattleEye problems. You can see who's logged in recently, so if you need to get your player number off of these things, you can go ahead and look through there and see what player IDs they're pulling off of. Stuff like that. So if you need to ban somebody without having full admin access in the game, you can go ahead and do it. It also keeps a log of who's done what on the server, so you want to see who's logged in, what they've done. You can see that I've done some config setting changes. There's my login, where I'm coming from, things like that. So it's a pretty robust little item. We're working on it more and more, and now that we're opening it up to Codeplex access, because we don't have a lot of time to sit around and kind of mess with it, and plus it's kind of reached the point where we don't have to add any more features. We're kind of looking for more community input. Now that it's reached this point right here, we're kind of looking for more people to jump in and really help out to bring it to its full potential, and hopefully we get a really good product out in the end. Thanks, guys. Remember, this is Captain Murphy from Team Duck. Hope to see you guys on the Codeplex site helping out. Thanks a lot.